this is Odyssey, coming back to talk to you. So, from now on, when I make these videos, I'm going to refer to you as Melon's friends. So, hello, Melon Mahigavin, well met. So, this video is how to get past King Thranduil. Now, King Thranduil is the Elven King of Mirkwood Forest, or Greenwood the Great. So, Thranduil's a little tricky to get past. He's the Elven King. He doesn't have time for sass. He doesn't have time for, basically, pardon the language, he doesn't have time for bullshit. He's down straight to the point. Now, he's a little bit kind of He's Prince Legolas's father. And he's very standoffish. He's very old. He's very wise. He can see right through you. Most elves can see your intentions right away. In my opinion, Thranduil being a little bit trickier than Legolas to get through to, or get past, or kind of get on the, kind of like on a for him to be on a, type thing about you, it would be a little bit trickier. So, the first thing King Thranduil would probably ask you is, what are you doing in my kingdom? What are you doing in my forest? Why are you in my forest? What's your point? And he would know your heart and your intentions. And he can sense, all elves have a sense of, in my opinion, these are just my opinions, I think all elves have a sense of who is good, who is bad. And in a first meeting, in a situation like that, he would automatically sense, okay, you're possibly a friend, or you're possibly a foe of mine. So he'll be kind of like that. Very stern in the face. Elves don't blink. That's one thing about them. They do not blink. The only time an elf really blinks is if they're injured or if they're dying. At least that's what I read. So, and yeah, so with Thranduil, like I say, it's a little bit trickier than Prince Legolas. Now, Legolas is Thranduil's son, so hypothetically, if you were with Legolas at the time and Legolas introduced you to his father, you might have a little bit more of a leeway. But if you're on your own, this is just my opinion on how to get past King Thranduil. Like I say, Thranduil would ask you, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Why are you in my forest? And you don't really want to you don't want to be like more flattery or more of a kiss ass. You want to be straight to the point. You want to be totally honest with him. Because it's up to him. He could do some real damage if he wanted to. So, I think with Thranduil, and this is just my opinion, is if you're straight up honest with him, you just say, I was told to, either like a scenario, like two scenarios. One would be, like, you become friends with Legolas, and Legolas feels, okay, I want you to meet my father. And I'll say, hypothetically, you're with Legolas. Legolas would be the one introducing you. And Thranduil would probably be just like that, looking at you like that, like, as Legolas is talking, judging you. He's not just looking at you, he's looking at your hair, your eyes, your face, what you're wearing, how you present yourself to him. Because, he is the king, and he's very fashionable, and he's very knowledgeable, and, all that stuff. And he's old. He's seen some stuff, and he, like I say, in the beginning of this video, King Thranduil is not going to put up with sass or bullshit or whatnot. He will not tolerate it in his kingdom. So he might just look at you like this and be like, very well. I withhold judgment. Don't make me regret it. And he probably wouldn't say it like that, like, very well. For now, I withhold judgment. Pray that I don't make a mistake. And then he would probably just walk off, and Legolas would be like, okay. It'd probably be a very awkward meeting if you were to come across him, say you're just kind of traveling through and you don't know where you're really at. You're like, how the hell did I go from, Earth to Middle Earth? How'd I get here? You just find yourself suddenly waking up and there you are in Mirkwood Forest, and you're like curious as everyone else, like, where the hell am I? And you just happen to come across him. I mean, of course, there'd be probably a long moment where you're probably going to be like shocked to see him, obviously, and you'd just be kind of like, and he would probably be even more a little bit taken aback that you're there, but he'd still be. He probably wouldn't be saying anything to you in that first moment, like first couple seconds. Before, It's really hard to say with him because he is such a complicated character. I think Thranduil at first would kind of be a little very standoffish, very tall, imposing. What are you doing in my forest? Type tone. Really cold, really icy. And to be honest with you, you just kind of reply with, the last thing I remember is I fell asleep. And when I woke up here. And I don't know where I am. Or why I'm here. But I must say that your forest is beautiful. Even as dark as it is, it's still beautiful. And Thranduil being... I mean, that would probably be just a very weird answer to him. Because, you just don't fall asleep one night and just suddenly wake up and you're in the middle of a forest and you don't know where you're at. So that might just get you past Thranduil right there. Like, he might just be curious about you at that point. Like, oh. Because that's kind of mysterious. I mean, you fall asleep one night and you wake up the next morning and you're in Middle Earth. I mean, I think that would be everyone's dream at this point. But with Thranduil, it would be kind of tricky. And Thranduil will probably kind of explain, you're in Middle Earth. This is Mirkwood Forest. This is my forest. What do you intend to do in my forest, Like, where do you plan to go? Then, like, I don't know. I don't really have anywhere to go. I never really thought of it that way. And Thranduil being an elf, elves kind of have a certain hospitality to them. So I think at that point, Thranduil, even if especially if you're female and you're all alone, that's like, and you don't know where you're at, and you obviously don't have a weapon, and you're obviously dressed really whatever, like I'm wearing a Legolas shirt, so at least, for me at first, he'd probably look right at my shirt and be like, why are you wearing a shirt with my son's picture on it? He would be very taken aback by me, because he'd be like, he wouldn't be like, he'd just be, I think he'd be quite surprised to see, why do you have armor with my son on it? And I would just be, I like your son. I think he's a very handsome elf. He's very wise, and he's a great fighter. You must have taught him well. You must be his father. You must have taught him well. And then at that moment, Thranduil will probably be like, I did. What are you doing in my forest? I don't know. I just suddenly just got here. I don't know how, but I'm just here. And in that moment, probably Thranduil would be like, okay, follow me. Come back into my caverns where it's safe. That's probably what he would do. He would probably be very taken aback, but knowing that you're alone and you don't have a weapon, and there are creatures in his forest that you just didn't mess with. There's more than just, like in The Hobbit, there's more than just huge spiders. You got orcs, you got goblins, you got all sorts of things that you're going to be up against, and you're not prepared. And he would know you are not prepared to fight that type of stuff. I mean, he might be a little, or he might just come across you and you're in the process of trying to fend off something, and he might just come to your rescue, but he would be very, very distant, very cold, very icy, but he would just be kind of, and he'd also be very, very curious about you, especially if you came into his forest wearing like a shirt like I am right now. But you would have to prove in that moment that you are not a threat, that you respect him, and you just can't just show up in you can't just show up in Mirkwood, you just can't just show up in Rivendell or Lothlorien and ask, hey, I want to, kind of like going abroad and all that stuff. You can't just show up and be like, I'm here, I'm just going to lay around and watch. No, you have to be a productive member of the Elven community. For me, what I would do is I would offer, because I love art, I like to sing. You guys seen some of my artwork. I'm going to be posting more of my artworks pretty soon and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure he would be kind of, King Thranduil would probably be kind of amused or intrigued by my art and all that stuff. And having a willingness to learn how to be an elf or to take in their culture and live as an elf would be another thing that would get you past King Thranduil, because he would realize, and it would take years, you would have to understand, it would take you years of loyalty to him to assure him that, okay, you truly do belong here and all that stuff. And after a time, probably, in my opinion, probably 2, 3, 4, 5 years, if you're still in Mirkwood at that point, and you're still living with Legolas, and you're still living with King Thranduil, and you're living under his rule, and you're following King Thranduil's rule, and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, I think after about that time, probably King Thranduil would probably relax a little bit and deem, okay, you're not a threat. You're a member of my kingdom. You're a cherished member of my kingdom. I name you elf friend. You're a friend of us elves. You're welcome. And at that point, you wouldn't have a problem. So it would, like I say, would really depend. But if you're friends with Legolas first, knowing King Thranduil, he'd probably be a lot more relaxed. Be like, okay, I trust my son's intuition, and if I can see that she or he is making my son happy and just not really bothering my son, but just kind of helping out my son and learning and stuff like that, and just making my son happy, I am going to withhold judgment, and I'm just going to just kind of watch. In my opinion, King Thranduil just kind of sits up on his throne and he watches you. I know it's going to be kind of a little unnerving, and you know that he's watching you, and you're walking kind of like on eggshells, like a don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up going on in your head. And I'm sure Thranduil can hear, because elves, in my opinion, are telepathic. He could hear you saying, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up. Then I think he would probably, outwardly, he wouldn't. He'd just be like that. But internally, I think he would be kind of giggling about to himself, like, she thinks she's going to screw up and all that stuff. So that's just my opinion on how you get past King Thranduil. And like I say, it's a little difficult with him because, like I say, he's the king. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to his people, his kin. And he's very dark, mysterious, and reserved. But if you can get past him and you just be open and honest with him and say, hey, I don't know where I'm at. You know, this is all new to me. But your forest is beautiful. You know, even with the darkness, even with the spiders, even with as dark as it is, there's still beauty in the dark. And then you can show them, like, even though there's beauty in the dark, I mean, look at these flowers. Look at the trees. Look at the butterflies. Look at this, you know. And, you know, I think that would probably really help you get past him. Like, okay, you can see the beauty in the dark. And that's kind of a rare gift, to see beauty in the dark. So, but that's just my opinion. So I hope you like this video, and if you did like this video and you really like stuff like this, and it could really help my content on my page to grow, is hitting that like button down below and subscribing to my channel. I could really use you guys' help, so, and whatnot. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. So leave a comment down below how you think you would appeal to King Thranduil and how you would appeal to him. And also comment below what you think Prince Legolas would think of you, or how he would partake you. Alright, you guys have a wonderful day. Love you lots. Bye.